Hello and welcome to this flipped instructional session on Unit 7, Lesson 8, Gods in Ancient Greece. Here is a quick look at an overview of Lesson 8. We're going to start out with our lesson introduction. And as always, remember to click on those lesson resources so that you can open up your student guide. And let's take a look at our lesson objectives as we are getting started today. So the lesson objectives for this lesson, we want to be able to explain that the Greek view of humanity differed from that of earlier polytheistic civilizations in that the Greeks believed humans could use their minds and reason to understand the world around them. We want to identify some of those important gods and goddesses of ancient Greece and the characteristics of Greek religious myths, and identify some of the religious beliefs and ideas expressed in those Greek myths. So the early Greeks believed the gods controlled nature. Through stories and poems about the gods, the Greeks sought to explain the workings of their worlds. A favorite story was the myth of Prometheus, in which a god gives the gift of fire to humans. The fire in the myth symbolizes something the Greeks believe separates humans from all other creatures. So you're going to see if you can tell, what does the fire symbolize? Myths are imaginative stories that try to explain how nature works or how certain things came to be. So the ancient Greeks wrote myths to express their ideas about the world and themselves. So today you're going to review what you've learned about the Greeks and explore how one myth reflects some of their beliefs. But first, access Greek gods and goddesses and find out what you remember about the gods and goddesses of ancient Greece. And when you finish, follow the directions in the student guide to continue with the lesson. So if you scroll down, you can click on the gods and goddesses and see if you can match some of the gods and goddesses with their role. And we'll review this in class together as well. Once you have reviewed that, you can open up the student guide. And in the student guide, you can see a lot of those gods and goddesses along with the pronunciation guide. But the first thing that it asks you to do is to check your reading. So you are going to review your reading from chapter 8, from who were the gods, who was man, to wondering about their world. So these are the headings that you're going to be reading, from who were the gods to wondering about their world. And that's pages 247 to 250 in your textbook. You're also going to read more about those Greek gods and goddesses on page 251. So really page 247 through 251, you're going to check your reading. And in class together, in our follow-up session, we'll answer some of those questions together. Here's a brief view of some of those, or a preview of some of those questions that we're going to answer about what were the religious beliefs that were expressed in the Greek myths. Who were some of the major gods and goddesses? How did the Greek view of humanity differ from others? And what three important things did the Greeks believe humans could understand with their minds? We kind of talked about that a little bit in the introduction, so you can go back and check that if you have any questions. After you check your reading, you are going to move on in the student guide, and there is the section, Use What You Know. So complete at least one of these Use What You Know activities. So you're going to read the myth of Prometheus, and that myth shows that the people who wrote them wanted to understand their world and themselves. In your reading, you discovered that the Greeks believed there were three important things humans could understand with their minds: the workings of nature, human nature, and the best way for human beings to live together in communities. So you're going to review the myth of Prometheus and write one or two paragraphs explaining how the myth expresses one or more of these beliefs, or Prometheus and the gift of fire. To the Greeks, heroes and gods were larger than life. So you're going to create 2 or 3 illustrations for the myth of Prometheus and write captions that help explain Greek beliefs and show how the Greeks thought it was possible for people to understand the world. So that's just kind of taking a little bit of what you've learned and applying it in a different situation to kind of help apply that learning. So you can complete your learning, complete that lesson before you come to class, and then we have a lot of fun follow-up games. So come to class and we will review more about the Greek gods and goddesses and make sure that you have a good understanding of this lesson. So I will see you on the flip side. You can look for the flip follow-up session in your Class Connect schedule, attend that live session, and we will carry this topic into further practice. And then we will follow that with a help lab. So if you have any questions, feel free to stick around for the help lab. Have fun, and I'll see you soon.